Welcome, I'm Marcel Swally. That's Emmanuel Acho. We're here for the next 2 hours.
Yes, we are.
You really are still in my tie bar game. What happened to your brooch?
I am, chill.
Can we be opposites on something? All right, well, opposites attract. Let's go. Let's start it off with Cam Newton, who seems to be fitting right in with the Patriots after being named the captain and their starting quarterback. But a lot of people didn't think Cam would be a good fit in New England. Former MVP didn't hold back on why he feels there was skepticism. Take a listen.
Honestly, we're going honest. Because I'm a black athlete, a quarterback that for a long time I've been unapologetic is because I have, carried myself in a way that the media hasn't gave me my just due. But yet at the same time, I do understand that, and I don't have no type of resentment towards that. I think the narrative coming here was kind of stereotypical to an unjust eye. Just to see, we've heard this about Cam. We've heard that he's a prima donna. He's this and that. But, when you really put a microscope to who I really am, it's a lot of favoritism that has not been favorable for my benefit.
So, Acho, was the skepticism of Cam's fit in New England due to racial stereotyping?
I would say to a degree, but it's deeper than that. To just say yes would be a lazy answer, and neither you nor myself are ever lazy on this show. So let's dive into it. And that's what I love about this show, because y'all probably about to learn some things that y'all may not have heard just because people don't often talk about it. Remember in Boston, who were their sports heroes? Well, number one, you got Tom Brady. Greatest quarterback of all time. It's not a debate. I'm not going to have that debate. But then you also have the man who they called the Great White Hope, and Larry Bird. And he was a cold-blooded dude. But you also had Ted Williams, Boston Red Sox, probably one of their most notable, if not their most notable player. Boston's heroes, for the most part, have always been and have been white men, white athletes. But then you got to take it a step further. And I was thinking about the Patriots. Look them up historically. They've never had a black quarterback win the starting job. Jacoby Brissett started games. Remember, Tom Brady was suspended 2016, if I'm not mistaken, on the year. But Cam Newton came out and won the starting job. But, Marcellus, this is when I am going to get deeper. This is when I'm going to start saying
the other end of the pool.
Now, this is when I'm going to start saying some things that I really had to think about before I could come talk about them. It's not about color. It's about culture. It's not necessarily about color. It's about culture. What do I mean? I'm black. By skin color, I am black. But my parents are first-generation American, born and raised in Nigeria. So I really grew up Nigerian culture. But I also went to a predominantly white, affluent high school. So I was immersed in white culture. But then in college locker rooms, NFL locker rooms, immersed in black culture. So I understand the different types of culture. Cam Newton, he really exudes black culture. What do I mean by that? You find your black athletes, when Cam makes a big play, what was he doing, Marcellus?
Dabbing.
He was swagging. He was dabbing. He was doing those types of things. When Aaron Rodgers makes a big play, he was
double-checking on him.
Right? When Clay Matthews makes a big play, he was flexing on him. So Cam is doing things that are more familiar to black culture than white culture. Remember, who are our top sports play-by-play and color people? They're white. Who are top beat writers? They're white. Who are the majority of the fans? They're white. And so I think that they're just viewing it through a white lens. Cam Newton has been viewed through a white lens. The last thing on this first lap I'm going to say is, think about this, and I have the picture to remind everybody. Cam Newton, Gardner Minshew, they both wear outlandish outfits. And let's take a look at it just to remind y'all. They both wear outlandish outfits. But one of them, Gardner Minshew, the same company said, look at Gardner Minshew's old man swag. But just a little bit later, in talking about Cam Newton, they say the only thing worse than Cam Newton's outfit was his performance. Now, if you ask me, a black man, I gravitate towards Cam's outfit, but because I like those types of a little bit extra extravagant suits. But the writers talking about both the extravagant and outlandish outfits will refer to one as swaggy and one as outlandish. So I do think, Marcellus, based on the lens in which you look through life, is how you will address a person, and Cam does fall through under that lens.
Boy, you said a mouthful.
Had to unpack it now. It's a lot to unpack. It's a lot to unpack.
I just see luggage everywhere. I don't know what to open up, what to wear. It's interesting. Let's just start here answering the question. When Cam Newton says it was stereotyping and racial stereotyping, and that's where the criticism came from, it's interesting that that could be the portrayal of this interaction between Bill Belichick, Patriot way, and that culture, and now newly starting quarterback Cam Newton. That could be what people perceive. But I didn't think that Cam Newton would go to the place where he would internalize it. And that caught me off guard.
Elaborate on that.
Because what we're talking about when you're saying culture is really a subscription to a lot of thoughts, actions, and beliefs. Like, even when we say culture, we're stereotyping.
Of course, yes.
Right? So it's weird to even say we're stereotyping on stereotyping because there's no monolithic culture. There's no, okay, these are the borders of culture. I do a lot of things that represent black culture. I do a lot of things that represents white culture. I do a lot of things that represents Marcellus Wiley the most. And wherever you want to place that, that's your labeling. But it's weird that Cam took the labeling and processed it internally. Why do I say that? Because a lot of people were skeptical. I felt that. I saw that. But one person in particular led the charge. The first words out of Cam Newton's mouth when becoming a New England Patriot, and this is an example maybe of Cam throwing the rocks and hiding his hands. What was his first quote? How's me and Bill Belichick going to mesh? You gonna blame the media for that one? No one told you to say that, Cam. Why are you over here taking this internally? Second comments. I think every type of stereotype I had about Bill Belichick changed the day I talked to him. Interesting, Cam, because there is always external pressure in anything you do. Look, if you try to climb a mountain, you're going to be like, damn, the mountain is one part of the problem. The other part is this atmospheric pressure pushing me down. I just don't understand where Cam is going with this when he subscribed, it seemed like the most, to the actual stereotyping. Help me out.
I think that, to your point, Cam internalized it and was listening to all of it. You said, like, I love how you said that to say that there are certain cultures, it is to a degree stereotyping because it's to a degree it's speaking generically. And it's hard to generalize. Right. But for the sake of this conversation and for the sake of this show, we got to generalize.
Let's go.
Marcellus, I'm reminded of 2015. Chip Kelly had just shipped off Deshaun Jackson. He had just shipped off LaShawn McCoy, right? Both of those guys, Eagles, some of the greatest Eagles of that generation. He gets rid of them. I get a call from a prominent reporter in the NFL, and they call me and they say, hey, Acho, is Chip Kelly racist? I was like, what? I was like, wait, where's that even coming from?
Hold up.
I mean, straight up, hold up. I'm like, where's that even coming from? Then I realized, from the outside looking in, Chip Kelly has gotten rid of our star black and black cultured, again, I'm going to use that word a lot, black cultured players. I see what you're saying, but I'm in the inside of the house. And I realized it's not that Chip had a problem with black players. He had a problem with some of the characteristics and trait that black athletes often exude. See, Chip Kelly also got rid of a dude by the name of Evan Mathis, all-pro offensive guard. Evan Mathis was white as can be, but Evan Mathis exuded a lot of traits that you typically only find in black athletes. Some of the bravado, some of the more often ego, some of the more eccentric behavior. So I said, on the outside looking in, you thought it was a color thing. But on the inside, I realized it's a culture thing. And so when I think about Cam Newton, let's be real. It's not necessarily about him being a black quarterback. Russell Wilson's a black quarterback. It's not about him being a black quarterback. Patrick Mahomes is a black quarterback. But think about Cam's culture and how he carries himself. Now, last thing I'm going to say again on this lap. We see it on the flip side. Rob Gronkowski, he gets in the end zone and he spikes. He doesn't necessarily dance. If he does dance, it's a little awkward, kind of frat boyish. But think about that man, Killer Travis Kelce. Well, he get in the end zone, he gonna start jerking. He gonna swag his pregame outfits. You're gonna see him wearing the chains, this, that, and the third, because his culture typically gravitates towards what you would say is black culture. So it's not as simple as saying it's race, people. You got to dive deeper and take away the color and look at the cultural aspects.
And that dive deeper, you would think that Cam Newton will be able to dive deeper to not even subscribe to this stereotyping or to even feel the effect of this stereotyping. You brought up Chip Kelly. I knew Chip Kelly wasn't racist from 1991. You know why? Because he recruited me to go to Columbia. And in our conversations, I never smelled any of that. And even knowing your situation in Philadelphia, knowing it from some of the internal aspects and knowing some of the players, I was like, this is lazy. People just gonna go there, not even look for the cracks or the things that actually go against that argument. Let's get back to Cam Newton. Let's talk about Cam Newton. And you talk about where he is now being received in Boston and Boston sports lore. And you close your eyes and think of the greats in Boston. You named a lot of white guys, and I can name a lot of black ones too. Bill Russell.
Bill Russell too.
Let's start in the beginning. Hello, Big Papi, like you said. Manny Ramirez. Teddy Bruschi. If you ever go up there and see Bruschi walk around, it's godlike, like the way that they think of him. My point is, wherever you want to go, whether you're right, whether you're wrong, you're actually right in this situation. Whether you think the stereotyping exists and Cam Newton bought into it, you actually have evidence for that. But if you don't think there's any stereotyping to this situation, there's no evidence to support that as well. Cam Newton went here and said, I don't know, if we're going to be honest, let's break it down. Let's be real about this. But let's be realer than that. Let's be realer than what you said what was real. People are questioning Cam Newton because of what? His game. You guys, you and LeVar especially, gang up on me a lot of times talking about how much toothpaste left in that tube, Cam. There was a time where Cam Newton, as a Carolina Panther, walked around that facility and they were looking at Kyle Allen in a better light than they were Cam Newton. There was a time he was going to lose his team to Kyle Allen. Yeah. And so now it's simple, and it could be lazy to just land on the stereotype. It's simple to say that there was some issue with me being welcomed here. But in reality, there was criticism coming just because of who you were, not because of the color of who you are.
May I please use a Wileyism, sir?
Oh, yeah.
It was
please.
a Wileyism I've heard recently from yesterday. It stuck with me. No one cares what you're doing until you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. Sir, the great Marcellus Wiley gave me that one. I don't think it's any more applicable than right now. Think about it. Cam Newton and, to a degree, Baker Mayfield, very similar as far as bravado of quarterbacks. Your quarterbacks aren't supposed to be the most outlandish, flamboyant, extravagant guys on the team. Your quarterbacks are kind of just supposed to fall in line, black or white. Be a company man. Dak Prescott shows up to the podium with his bow tie. Yes, sir, no, sir. Keeps it moving. But you got guys, Cam Newton, and again, you can draw a parallel to Baker Mayfield. They're doing a little extra. What you dancing for? What you jigging for? What you in all these commercials for? A little extra. Yeah. For Cam, it didn't matter in 2015 when he was a NFL MVP, going to the Super Bowl. Didn't matter in 2013, led his team to 11-12 win season. 2017, again, another prominent season. But when you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, whether it's staying healthy or performing high or losing 8 of your last 8 starts, again, if I'm not mistaken, then all of a sudden people are going to start nitpicking a little bit further. But I'll end my statements and drop the mic on this moment. And you said this a couple weeks ago. You can scroll through Twitter and you'll get praised 100 times. But that one tweet that said, hey, Acho, you don't know what you're talking about, that's the one you'll remember. Yeah. And Cam Newton does get praised a lot, but he gets criticized a lot. And I think what Cam Newton is hearing is the criticism because it sticks out and it hurts a lot more, obviously, than praise ever will.
Yeah, but welcome to stardom, brother. I mean, you want to be at the top of that pyramid? Guess what? Not too many people around you and only light emitting around you. And everyone's going to put that focus on you and put you under that microscope. Whatever level of stardom you have ever dealt with in your life, whether it's just been the man at school or the best player on the team, you know that it comes with the good and it comes with the bad. I remember being a 9-year-old Pop Warner star, and I couldn't even eat my chili cheese Fritos without these parents coming up to me, stop number 3. And I'm like, I'm number 3. Why you pointing at me? An old-ass man pointing at me, telling this little other 8-year-old to stop. He couldn't. And you know what I'm saying? So the point was, no matter who you are, you got to deal with that balancing act. But Cam Newton, it seems like the stereotype was blasting the loudest in the stereo speakers in his own head. He heard the noise louder than the noise was actually being created. Think about this. Cam Newton flying over the NFL landscape and going to land in New England. But at 35,000 feet, it's easy to look down in New England and say, oh, man, not so culturally appropriate, not so sensitive to all types. That's some BS, man. The personalities that have walked through New England and played for the Patriots, we already named a few, but let's talk about AB. Let's talk about AB was a New England Patriot. And everyone could say—
Not for long.
Yeah, he wasn't for long. But guess what got him out the door? It wasn't his personality. What got him out the door? Off the field, all those issues. Chad Ochocinco Johnson. It wasn't his personality got him out of there. It was the fact, hey, Chad, the playbook right here, bro. You gonna figure this out? And it's just amazing that if you want to run with the lens of stereotyping and racial profiling,
let me ask you something.
You're gonna run in the wrong direction.
Let me ask you something, because you bring up two phenomenal examples, two phenomenal points. But I would push back that there's a difference between the face of your franchise and another player in your franchise. For example, a quarterback can't get away with some things that a wide receiver, a running back, and there are several other players who you ain't even got enough time for you to name on the Patriots way that you would say, their issues weren't on the field, they were off. But don't you think there's a difference because Cam is a quarterback, the face of the franchise, like we've seen with the Cowboys, has to fall in line in ways that other players don't?
I don't believe that. I don't think we have enough evidence and enough of opportunities to understand what I'm feeling. What I feel is when I saw Mike Vick hit the scene, 0-1, cornrows, took over Atlanta. You walk in a Nike store. I remember walking in a Nike store in Atlanta, and we had the comps, so you could get whatever you wanted. Yep. And I remember walking in the Nike stores in every other city, New York, LA, and it was always basketball-centric, and then here's the football division. And I walked into one in Atlanta, and it was the big experience. I said, no, where's the Nike store? It was like, this is the Nike store. Look, if you doing it, if you making it happen on the field, I don't think they care about the cosmetics. It's only, like I said, when you're not doing it on the field, all of a sudden all the external noise gets louder. Coming up at the top of the hour, we'll continue our Cam Newton discussion and tell you if the media has treated him unfairly. But first, we're 2 days away from opening night in the NFL, and we'll let you know if the Patrick Mahomes, Deshaun Watson rivalry can fill some big shoes. Next, speak for yourself.
FS1 Fantasy Week is sponsored by DraftKings. Play free for your shot at the $1 million top prize during Week 1, only on DraftKings. Well, let's return to the NFL, where the Texans and Chiefs will start the season in just 2 days. You heard me right. 2 days away. Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes are the talk of the NFL offseason after they both signed record-breaking extensions. But back on the field, Mahomes' Chiefs beat the Texans in last year's playoffs on their way to a Super Bowl title. Mahomes said he told Watson, quote, "We're going to have battles for a long time." Bringing in our guy, NFL analyst LeVar Arrington, but Marcellus, I got to go to you first. Could a Mahomes-Watson rivalry reach the same level as Brady and Manning?
No, it could not. And anyone who says that it could is not really diving into the details, or they're not historians of the game. And that's what I'm going to do in both lanes and give you the actual rivalry that has the most juice. Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson. Let me explain. This is no slight to Deshaun Watson, who has won a playoff game and obviously as a franchise quarterback just got paid. But when you're talking about Brady and Manning, we have to talk about what they were even in their younger years, which is one was a Super Bowl champion before he could even blink, it felt like, and was on to a successful career that ended up being a dynasty continued. We'll see what the GOAT does in Tampa. And then there was Peyton Manning, who was just by all measurables more talented. By all measurables, just a freak in terms of not just athleticism. I think you get caught up in thinking of athleticism. No, Peyton Manning was the one who became a coach on the field. Peyton Manning was the one who was so cerebral that plays that were called actually came to life on the field through some of his checks and some of his audibles. So then Peyton Manning, with all this greatness surrounding him in terms of his talents and his personnel, kept falling short in the playoffs. Reminds me of somebody else out there. Lamar Jackson. And that's why I think that rivalry has the most juice. What is Deshaun Watson, the Texans? If you go back in the days, there was another team that was trying to get into that rivalry conversation and always fell short. The San Diego Chargers. Deshaun Watson is Phillip Rivers and the San Diego Chargers, trying to be that third team that's going to get propped into that second seed to go out there and face the Patrick Mahomes Kansas City Chiefs. And if you're saying that this is the best rivalry, it's because you're not really looking at the best rivalry that exists. It's that 14-2 team that fell short, that what Peyton Manning and the Colts used to do, and finally they met at the top. And let's see those two greats go at it.
That's very strong, and actually it's hard for me to disagree with. Well, let's go. But I have to disagree with it anyway.
Oh, really?
No, I think that there's a chance it will have the same sizzle I don't think it'll have the same significance. So I'm a rock with Marcellus to a degree. I think it'll have a lot of the same pop. It'll have a lot of the same juice. But the limiting reactant is going to be Deshaun Watson. And if we're being real honest, the limiting reactant is going to be Bill O'Brien. Remember, Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, from 2001 to 2018, there are 9 Super Bowl appearances for Tom Brady and 4 for Peyton Manning. 13 out of those 18 years in the Super Bowl, you was either going to see Tom Brady or Peyton Manning. I don't know if we're going to see the same thing from Deshaun and Patrick Mahomes, and I don't think that's any fault of Patrick Mahomes. The question is, how long can Deshaun Watson continue to win in spite of Bill O'Brien? I think that Deshaun got the juice. We know talent-wise, he is a top generational type of talent. Patrick Mahomes, he's already proven that. But when you talk about what Tom Brady and Peyton Manning meant, you really watch that game realizing, yo, whoever wins this one, they go into the Super Bowl. If they met in the regular season, it was whoever wins this one, they are the favorite in the AFC. For it to ever have that kind of significance, for Brady, for Mahomes and Watson to have that kind of significance, the Texans would have to get consistently better. And I don't know if Deshaun Watson can single-handedly elevate the entirety of that franchise on a consistent level.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's a no for me as well. And it's because the Texans are the biggest liability in the total equation of creating a rivalry of the level that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning were on. And I'll just continue to echo it. When you think about Peyton Manning, you could actually say, without stuttering or flinching or second-guessing yourself, this is the greatest quarterback to ever, and I mean ever, play this game.
Say it.
And when you look at Tom Brady, you're never going to question if he's the most winningest of quarterbacks to ever play this game. But both of those scenarios have to play out with great team mechanics, great team accomplishments. And I think that that's what everybody has said so far, and I continue to agree. It cannot become a rivalry unless the teams are performing at a high level. Tom Brady doesn't become Tom Brady if the teams don't play at a high level. Peyton Manning doesn't become Peyton Manning if his teams don't perform at a high level. So to me, I think that it's unfortunate because Deshaun Watson is a talent and could be that type of guy where you're loving to watch them go head to head. But when making a comparison of 2 of the greatest ever, 2 greatest, not close, not maybe debatable, they are 2 of the greatest. To say that they will reach that height of rivalry, I'm very skeptical of that.
Yeah, I mean, beyond team success, let's be football players, which means we snap necks around here. We go for heads right here. Deshaun Watson has not climbed the same heights to the same level as even Lamar Jackson has. So if you're ever talking about what could be the greatest rivalry, you got 2 young quarterbacks, 3rd year and 4th year, talking about they've already won MVP. So to go to Deshaun Watson, and then you have to look at his team, and you realize that most experts are saying they're not even going to make the playoffs. This is a team that had a lackluster exit out of the playoffs, up 24 points, and then you lose that game. I just don't understand where we're going in terms of trying to make this the rivalry. I know that there are 2 great quarterbacks playing, but there are so many more elements to making a rivalry, as we just said. Team success, also your individual greatness, especially when there's someone already on the team that had greater team success, 14-2, despite losing in the playoffs at the same round as the Houston Texans. And you got an MVP over there. So if we're going to wedge this thing together, let's do the obvious sometimes. Don't, keep it simple. Go with Lamar Jackson.
Marcellus, to your point, though, if we can quickly pivot, the issue with trying to make the Lamar Jackson, Patrick Mahomes a long-term rivalry, everybody's still skeptical of how long will Lamar be able to play at a high clip because we've never seen running quarterbacks play at a high clip for a long time. So I think where you're trying to see the Patrick Mahomes versus Deshaun Watson rivalry, everybody's saying, okay, we know both these quarterbacks are going to be able to play at a high level until they're 35. That's what we're going to assume.
No, what? Who's been injured more, Lamar Jackson or Deshaun Watson?
But I'm saying, I agree with you. But I'm saying when people are looking at Lamar Jackson, I don't exactly.
Who's been the least injured of those
Lamar
3?
Jackson. But when you look at
One
Lamar,
game missed since college.
I think you're looking at it through the historical lens of saying, is Lamar going to be playing like this until 35? I think that is why people are trying to make this Deshaun versus Mahomes thing a rivalry. But realistically, it might be a one-sided rivalry. Remember, the rivalries is always a rivalry for the lesser team, and the lesser team right now is the Texans. But the Chiefs, it might turn into like a big brother, little brother type of thing. Like, y'all never really gonna beat us when it matters. You might catch us slipping in the regular season, but it can only be a rivalry if they're both throwing heavyweight blows. Brady beats Manning the first 6 times they play each other. Then the next 11 times they play each other, Manning wins 6 out of those 11. So you were seeing heavyweight blows back and forth. Will we be able to see that from the Texans? That's what I'm not convinced of.
And that's to my point why Lamar Jackson is the Peyton Manning in this situation. He hasn't beaten Patrick Mahomes yet, 0-2. He's only lost 3 regular season games and 2 of them to Tom Brady. I mean, Patrick Mahomes. That's my point. So why are we trying to force some different rivalry going on? Deshaun Watson and the Texans are the San Diego Chargers, who had great seasons, but always found a way to just come up a little short when it came to the Colts and the Patriots conversation. So, look, if you look at this situation for the juice of it, there's no other way to look at it. We need to stop looking at everything through this historical lens and saying, well, Lamar Jackson runs the ball. That means he's going to get hurt. It's amazing that we've heard that for so many years, and that's altered so many mindsets and quarterbacks, how they approach the game. Last, I got to end this with a little story. Peyton Manning, we played against Peyton Manning twice a year in Buffalo, and we used to hear his calls and audibles. This is all before Omaha. He had one called Rambo, and he would say the long play call at the line and then throw Rambo in there just randomly, and it meant run right. So the whole first half, you know, we had the #1 defense. Rambo, we like, oh, we about to tear this thing up. Whole first half tearing up that run. One time in the second half, he comes out, blah, 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 blah. Rambo.
They went left.
Put it in. No, he went right. Put it in that belly.
It went deep.
Took it out. Marvin Harrison was already in the parking lot, section 6, and threw that thing to that boy for a touchdown. This is just the genius of a Peyton Manning, and we have 3 quarterbacks to select from. I just think Lamar and Patrick will be the best 2.
I think it's a stretch even for Lamar. I hate to say it. I think the only one right now in the running, and I know Lamar got the MVP nod. I get that, and that's a great accomplishment for us early in his career. But what we cannot do, because I am going to stay in the historical lens, and I'm going to live in it, because that's all I really have to lean on my college career, not so much in the NFL. But I'm going to lean on historic in college, all right? So here we go, right?
Go.
The reason why I look at it from the standpoint of Lamar Jackson has to do more outside of that MVP award is because you're talking about 2 of the greatest ever. So when we're talking about creating a rivalry of this magnitude with Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, the only one on the trajectory right now, realistically, is Patrick Mahomes. And that's because not only does he show the I guess the latitude, the potential to maybe be considered one of the greatest to ever do it, I'm not sold that Lamar Jackson, as well as he's come out, as fast as he's come out of the starting gate, that he will end up being one of the greatest to ever do it. We're talking 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 or 1. They're in top 5 conversations with any quarterback that has ever played this game. You cannot lower the historical value of what all of those other quarterbacks that have had rivalries in the National Football League over the years and take a guess or take a flyer on putting Lamar in there. Right now, it's Patrick Mahomes. Whoever number 2 is going to be has to be able to show themselves and develop that and earn the right to be in that conversation. And I don't even think it's Lamar Jackson yet.
Was that a history perspective or his story perspective? Because it sounded like you were cooking some of the facts and some of the books.
It's both.
Peyton Manning, I played against him, I told you twice a year. Peyton Manning first year, 3-13. Second year, coach told us to get him as a rookie. We didn't. He was 13-3 his second year. Third year, 10-6. Point of that is he was 0-3 in the playoffs before he even hit the ground, before he finally started to get some traction in the playoffs. What is Lamar Jackson right now, guys? 0-2. So not even as bad as Peyton Manning, but already he's getting outpaced in terms of a historical perspective of being great when he already has an NFL MVP.
But you can look at history, Marcellus.
Man,
you can look at the problem is that I have the ability to use retrospect on Peyton Manning. We don't have the ability to do that with Lamar Jackson. So that's my point.
I like that point. You're true. You're true. Move on. Coming up, the Cowboys said they're all in on Dak Prescott, but they won't commit to him long term. We'll tell you what it all means next. Speak for yourself. That's good. Fox NFL Sunday is back this week with a great slate of early games. Then it's a blockbuster in America's Game of the Week as Brady and the new-look Bucks take on Breeze and the Saints. Check local listings for the games in your area or watch it on the Fox Sports app. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. Let's move on to Dallas, where the offseason talk has centered around Dak Prescott's contract. Dak will play under the franchise tag this season, but he says he still wants to be a Cowboy for the rest of his career. Y'all hear that, LeVar? LeVar, Cowboys VP Stephen Jones gave a status report on Dak's contract situation, saying, quote, "We just continue to want to get Dak signed. Obviously, we're totally all in on him. It's just finding something that makes sense for both the Cowboys and Dak." I think I saw where Dak was quoted as saying he's fired up about his future here in Dallas and understands some of these things can be different in terms of ultimately getting a deal. We're joined once again by LeVar Arrington. And Acho, I'm going to start with you. Should Dak be bothered by the Cowboys saying they're all in on him?
He should absolutely be ticked off. And he should be, because the Cowboys are setting him up for failure. Marcellus, you often notate my singleness, but as a single man, I've still gone to a couple relationship classes, ladies and gentlemen.
Classes?
Yeah, a couple classes.
By yourself?
Yes, obviously. That's what you do when you're single. But
I looked at your IG. You ain't always by yourself.
You're preparing yourself for the future. Let me tell y'all this. What I remember from a class, can y'all stop because I'm about to make a point? Thank you.
Yes, okay, go ahead.
What I remember being said was this: if someone ever invites you to an event, remain non-committal. Because if you commit and then you say, let me go back and check, now everyone knows who's at fault. For example, hey, if LeVar is like, hey, Acho, you trying to come to this cookout? Yeah, LeVar, I'd love to. Let me check with the significant other. Then I call LeVar back. Hey, bro, I can't make it. LeVar instantly knows it wasn't Acho's fault.
It's your significant other.
Significant other's fault.
Unless you Marcellus, because Marcellus will do that. He'll deflect to someone else. But go ahead.
Damn right.
Here's the thing.
Y'all can handle the truth.
That's what Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, the Cowboys are doing. Oh, we're all in on Dak. We love Dak. We want to commit to Dak. We want Dak to be here for life. Dak, 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 Dak. Everything good, Dak. So now if it falls through, all the fan base is going to be saying, well, Dak must have been the one to mess this up. When in fact, the Cowboys love Dak. They want Dak, but it has a limit. It has a monetary limitation, and a monetary limitation that is lesser than the value that Dak has already earned. So I don't like the Cowboys going out publicly talking about their affection for Dak, because they're setting him up for failure.
Wow. I never thought that you should be bothered if an owner offers you $33 to $35 million during normal times, and you say, nah, I don't like the terms because of the length of the contract. And that same owner, after getting all of that thrown back in his face, is still going on record, putting his ego out there, franchise on the line, saying we're still committed to you as you're committed to us. And you think that these are all empty words, empty statements. Those bank statements could have been cashed if Dak was sitting there saying, I'm thirsty for this moment. But Dak is not just thinking present value. He's thinking future value. And he's smart. He's so smart that we're going to be the ones who are going to laugh at Dak right now, you and LeVar, and then you're going to be the ones being laughed at the end, because Dak is making smart moves to build his own empire. Why did I use the word empire? Because I remember this happening, and it just hit me this morning, of who Dak Prescott really is. Dak Prescott is Master P. I'm going to start calling it Master D, because Dak Prescott is sitting there like Master P was in the early to mid-90s. Rapper after rapper was bigger than Master P. Even better than Master P. Snoop Dogg, Pac, you want to go Biggie, all of them. And Master P sat there and said, wait a minute, what's the game? What's the goal of business? To get the most. And Master P, not being even close to the best rapper, made the most money off of rap. And Dak Prescott is right now on pace to make the most money at the quarterback position, and no one is sitting here saying he's the top quarterback in the league. So we're playing two different games if you're talking about Dak Prescott. Y'all playing the game of, oh, man, they don't love you. They don't take care of you. They ain't committing to you. And Dak is sitting there saying, Kirk Cousins has made the most money in the last 4 years, and I'm already outpacing him by $22 million. Who gonna be laughing last? Dak Prescott, excuse me, Master D.
That is a horrible, horrible example to use. Master P got his money because he chose to go independent. He didn't depend on anybody paying his
No, it was his
fee.
deal.
Call him out.
I digress. His deal was done independently. He didn't do it with an organization like the Dallas Cowboys. But listen, here's my point. I'm saying no.
Start your own
I'm
team.
saying no. No, it's not. It's his own team. It was his own team. So Dak could play Dak his own money if it was his own team. But this isn't his own team. And I'm saying no because Dallas, look, no, don't be. So I'm clear. No, do not be any more bothered than what you already are. If everything that everybody is saying, oh, we're all in, we love him, his future, this, that, and the other, the deal would be done, fellas.
Wrong.
The deal would be done. There would have been a compromise. The only reason why they came out and had anything to say to begin with is because you just got a deal done with a guy that's comparable to Dak Prescott. So you feel the pressure and you respond to it. This is nothing but propaganda, rhetoric, so to speak. You know why? You want to know why they come out and say something like this?
Why?
They are putting the ball in Dak Prescott's court. They are putting the onus and the weight of a decision and a deal getting done on Dak Prescott. We want him. We're all in. We love him. We want him here. But we don't have a deal done. Oh, must be Dak Prescott's fault. Dak needs to be more realistic in his approach to what his numbers are. Dak Prescott needs to be a little bit more open on what it means to be a Dallas Cowboy franchise quarterback. Dak has to take the excuse and be the guy that handles why this deal gets done or doesn't get done. And that's what this is shaping up to be. I don't see it being a number changing unless Dak has that great of a season this year. But he had a great year last year, even though the team didn't, and he still doesn't get a deal done. So to me, I think he shouldn't be bothered because he knows they're all in. It's just not to Dak Prescott's definition or idea of what all in is.
Look, the Cowboys are setting Dak Prescott up not to be the GOAT, but to be the scapegoat. Okay, they're setting Dak Prescott up to fall on the sword, and it's going to be all Dak's fault. This, gentlemen, is what I love right now about our social media age. I love that owners can come out and say one thing, and a manager can come out and say one thing, but players have power to also go out and speak the truth. 2 weeks ago, Adam Gase, coach for the Jets, came out and said, yeah, we sat our star running back down, Le'Veon Bell. He has some tightness. Le'Veon goes on Twitter.
I ain't tight.
Nothing wrong with my hamstring.
Ain't nothing wrong with me. I ain't tight at all.
The man with the mic has the power, and Jerry Jones knows that. So as long as Jerry Jones keeps throwing out this narrative, then we, the fans, will buy into the narrative. And so eventually we're going to say, man, it was all Dak's fault. Remember this.
He's greedy.
Jerry Jones, Stephen Jones, even Emmitt Smith, they've all opined that, you know what, Dak Prescott should take less money. He should give us a hometown discount. Dak Prescott, you'll get more by being a Cowboys quarterback than these $1 million in this check will ever give you. The Cowboys are setting Dak up for the okie doke. I just hope that he reads between the lines and doesn't fall for the cheese in the trap.
Now, here comes the pain. The narrative that was bought into is not the one that makes Dak the scapegoat. Is the one that you guys are buying into, which is the fear-mongering going on by these owners right now.
There we go.
What's happening in real-world society business? What's happening right now? Efficiency. Companies are getting leaner. Whether they need to or not, they're like, I have found another way of handling business. I have found different ways to get the same job done. So staffs are being cut. Whether it's for necessity reasons or just because, you know what, we can save. Let me tell you what fear-mongering has done to the NFL right now. Dak Prescott was offered a deal higher than Carson Wentz and Jared Goff. And he said, nah, because he has great representation in Todd France. And they're talking about future value. And I'm going to tell you what future value does to you. If you buy into the fear-mongering that the owners are selling right now, you only get 2 deals done this offseason during a pandemic. And what are those 2 deals? Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. Did y'all read the headlines about Patrick Mahomes' deal once you looked into the details? Everyone said, ooh, if you really look at it, it could average out to being only $39 million per year. 12 years? Patrick Mahomes, as much as it hit us in the face at first, $500 million, then you start to read fine print, you're like, maybe not the best deal. Let's go to Deshaun Watson, who signs this amazing deal, 4 years, $156. But then you got to tack it on to the 2 years he still has on this deal, and you start to realize Deshaun Watson could potentially only make $29 million per year. Ooh, not as pretty, because the fear-mongering is being sold in this pandemic right now. And Dak is smart enough to wait this out and get his dough and be the GOAT.
It's always a but, Marcellus.
I wish you had a piano to play with it, too.
It's
but go ahead and get it.
Dun, dun.
Go ahead and get it.
Okay, it's always a but, Marcellus, because this sounds great. This hypothetical situation that me and LeVar have had to listen to you talk about for the last 3 weeks is great. But what happens if Dak Prescott goes out there and experiences what Patrick Mahomes did last year? Oh, gets hurt. What happens if Dak Prescott goes out there and experiences what happens to Deshaun Watson in 2017? Oh, tears his ACL. No. There's also realistic mongering. The NFL injury rate is 100%.
No, it's not, because Dak has never been hurt.
Yeah, he also hasn't played that long.
Hold on.
He also hasn't played that long.
4 years, has he missed a game?
So what's that mean? If the NFL...
You said it's 100%.
If the injury rate is statistically 100% and he hasn't yet been hurt, that guarantees that he will be hurt. Now, will it be hurt this year? Who knows? Because the injury rate is 100%. So it just hasn't happened to him yet. If you and I are flipping a coin, and we know that it's 50-50. If I flip it the first 4 times and it's heads, that doesn't mean the rest of the time I flip it, it's going to be heads. That actually ensures that it's more likely to be tails upon the next flip, not just because the previous 4 times means it's been heads.
When's Russell Wilson going to miss a game because of injury?
Eventually. We said the same thing. Didn't we say the same thing about Peyton? Didn't we say the same thing?
I didn't say that. I was never on the talk show saying Peyton Manning ain't gonna never get hurt. I got $10,000 fine for knocking his neck off in 2000. So I know that sooner or later it was gonna accumulate because he was a statue. The point of this is, let's stop going with the projections, especially if they're gonna be fear-based. Y'all scared to bet on yourself. Y'all are just scared to bet on yourself, and Dak is not. Why are y'all gonna put a stigma on a guy who's betting on himself?
Marcellus, you continue to make the argument that Patrick Mahomes' deal is not a good deal, and that now the deal done with Deshaun Watson isn't as good of a deal as it should be. But yet these are the numbers. This is the deal that Dak Prescott is pushing to get. This is the deal that we're talking about. These are going to be the standards in which they're measured. 100%. That's how it works. These things have to go through the PA.
You're wrong.
They have to be qualified. They have to look at them because you're maintaining a certain money level, financial level for each position. So you're downgrading the contracts, but those are indeed the 2 largest contracts in the National Football League.
So what? That's the ceiling right now. Who said it? How you gonna let my vertical jump because the ceiling's here? You ever go to the combine and see somebody do that? I did it 39.5 when I had to do my pro day. You know how it goes. Coach be like, we got it right there. You be like, you got to bump that up a little bit because I'm about to go touch all of these rings. Here's the thing. Dak is not asking for the same thing Deshaun and Patrick Mahomes got. Patrick Mahomes got a 12-year deal. Deshaun Watson got a 6-year deal. Dak wants 4 years. You know why? Because when he's done, he wants to go back to the table and get $40, $80 million more while Deshaun is still locked up. And then Patrick Mahomes is still locked up for 6 more years.
Then why not take what they are? If what you're saying is so sensible and it makes so much sense, why doesn't he just take the number that's being offered to him at a 4-year clip?
Because they're not, first of all, they don't want a 4-year clip. They said 5 years or nothing. He's saying 4 years or nothing. And that's why they're at an impasse. It's not so much about the value.
He's at $40 million a year that he wants out of his contract. So if he's at that number.
I love you, brother, but all I'm saying is somebody come up to me and says 4 years, 35 versus 5 years, 35. I'm saying 4 years, 35, because that 5th year, who knows where the market will be. Let me end it with this. Maybe this will help you understand. 2 years ago, who was the highest paid quarterback? Jimmy G, right? He was making $27 million. 2 years later, we're at $35 million before the pandemic with Russell Wilson. In 2 years, we went up $8 million. Where do you think we're supposed to go up in 6 years?
And who got those contracts, Marcellus? Players that were much better than Jimmy Garoppolo. You can't sit here and say that Dak Prescott can justify he's better than Deshaun Watson or most certainly not better than Patrick Mahomes. So where's the justification? He better have a great year this year. He better have a great year this year if that's the point.
I just found two dudes I would never want to represent me because they're going to leave too much money on the table.
You need to go into the agency business. Add that to your lawyership.
A loss to the Lakers. But James Harden says Houston's confidence is skyrocketing. What word is that? We'll ask Tristan Thompson if he likes that bravado. Next, Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. Let's head to the NBA where the Lakers and Rockets are tied 1-1.
Yeah.
Houston is coming off a Game 2 loss, but James Harden sounds like they're up 2-0 in the series. Harden said the Rockets are in a good place and added, quote, "Our confidence is skyrocketing." No pun intended. Joined by NBA champion Tristan Thompson, also NBA analyst. But all right, Tristan, I'm coming to you first. Do you like James Harden's confidence going into Game 3?
Most definitely. I love his confidence right now going to Game 3, and here's why. I was in a similar situation back when we played against the Bulls when we didn't have K-Love and Kyrie was kind of out with tendonitis. We play against the Bulls in Chicago. It's 1-1. Derrick Rose hits that game-winning jumper on my head, which I was very upset about off the glass. So after that game, and going into that series, everyone had Chicago winning the series. But after that game, we still felt confident because we looked at the box score, we looked at how we played, and we're like, shoot, Joakim Noah played the best he was playing. D. Rose made a big shot. How many times is he going to make that? All their guys were playing great, but if you looked at our roster, you know, Deli had like 8 points. Shump had like 6. JR had like 10. Like, obviously, Brian carried most of the load. So we're like, shoot, if guys just play just a tad bit better, we'll be in this series. And I think that's how James is feeling right now.
I love Harden's confidence. I'm with you, Tristan. And I love it because it's real confidence. Think about this. And Marcellus, he also talks about one of the favorite sports being boxing. Early on in my life, I like boxing as well. If you're stepping into a ring with the heavyweight champion and all you hear about is his lethal right hook, man, don't let him catch you with that right hook. It's a wrap. But then in the second round, you eat that right hook and you still standing. And you look around like, you know what? That wasn't all that lethal. See, that's what happened with the Rockets. They took the Lakers' best blow. AD, LeBron combined for over 16 points. When AD and LeBron combined for over 60 points. Yeah. When they combined for over 60 points, 14-1 in the season. So the Rockets sit there, took that best blow. Rondo, plus 28, plus or minus. Markieff Morris comes in there, 12 points in literally 3 minutes. Rockets going to the fourth quarter after all that, and they're up by 2. They're like, wait a second. The Lakers, y'all just gave us your best shot, and we still sitting here with the chance to win the game. I think the Rockets realize if that's all the Lakers got, that might not be enough to get it done. So I do love Harden's confidence because Harden is looking at the bigger picture saying, oh, y'all gave us y'all best and y'all barely got us? Nah, that's not going to get it done over the next 3, 4, 5 games.
Nah, Sean, that was a great example right there. And, of course, I love this confidence because, one, it beats the alternative of, oh, man, we scared, man. Them dudes came out there and beat us Game 2. It's going to continue. Like, well, who wants to hear that? So even if you say, a little skeptical of the confidence, I'm glad that they're even saying it. They're exuding it. And it's not just James Harden. It's coming from the coach. Y'all think James Harden sounds full of confidence? Take a swig of D'Antoni's statement, what he been sipping on. Quote, I really did not think we were going to sweep them. D'Antoni was thinking sweep. And then he was like, nah, we ain't gonna sweep them. But that lets you know where they're thinking in terms of this David versus Goliath. They're thinking, we're Goliath. And we took the punch of this duo, this combo, and we're still standing. What gives them this confidence, though? Sitting up here with athletes, let's talk about the athlete calculator. And it's pretty simple. Athletes look at it like, all right, who's the 2 best players? All right, we know that AD, LeBron, okay, 60. All right, 60 already on the board before we even start this game. But the others, can we limit those other dudes to 40 points or fewer? Hell yeah, and I think James Harden came to that calculation realizing if we hold the rest of them dudes to under 40, we got this. And if Russell Westbrook can stay efficient and stay consistent, oh, man, I can see where this confidence is coming from.
Yeah, no, that's the key. That's the key. If you're looking at the box score, listen, after every game, every player, they got their foot in the ice tub. They're ready, about to go take a shower. You look at the box score, and they're like, okay, PJ 18, Covington 17, Russ 10. Like, great players, like guys like Russ, like if they have a 10-point game, you know the next thing's gonna be aggressive. So if James, he's definitely kicking back, got some vino with him, probably the night before the game, he's like, man, if Russ come and just be himself, we ready to go. So I know that's why they're very confident. And if you just look at how the game was played, you could tell that this is the way the Rockets play. It's unconventional. We haven't seen it ever in basketball, not for a long period of time. Yeah, we got the Hampton Five with the Golden State back in the day, but with them going small ball with positionless basketball, in terms of a game plan as a coach, it's difficult because you don't know what position guys are going to be in. You don't know who's going to step up. You know, one game is Daniel House having 12 points. Next game is Austin Rivers. So in terms of matching up with these guys, it's kind of it's a no night of rest in terms of if you're the defensive coach for the Lakers. So, I mean, the Rockets, the way they're playing, you know, it's going to be a dogfight.
You know, the scariest teams are them teams, football, basketball, anything that play unconscious. It's like they don't remember what happened last game, and they don't let one play, one game, one anything beat them twice. I hate the phrase, oh, I don't take losses, I take lessons. I hate that, because you took a loss. Okay, the Rockets, y'all took a loss. It's an L in the win-loss column. Y'all took a loss. But I will say this, I will say this. In taking that loss, the Rockets actually learned an incredibly valuable lesson. Okay. They took the loss, but they also learned a lesson. The lesson being, oh, even in that loss, we still got y'all's number. Think about what LeBron is saying post-game. Man, we can't emulate that speed. Like, we can't duplicate it. They got a speed we've never seen before. But the quote that really got me was this. After the game, a reporter asked Russell Westbrook, you know, D'Antoni, he says that you're probably not going to have another game like that again. And Russ is like, like what? He's like, you know, just another game. Like, Russ like, no, like what? He's like, you know, you kind of struggled to shoot the ball. He said, oh, okay. Russ didn't even care that he went 4 for 15 from the field. Like, it didn't faze him. He's not about to be out there shook tonight thinking, uh-oh, man, I might miss. No, because those players play unconscious, and those are the most lethal players to play against. So James Harden, he up to something, because it starts with the mentality, and I think they win in the game between the ears right now. Now it's just a matter of they're going to win the game on the court.
Yeah, look. You need to stay off the gram, first of all. Talk about, what is it, losing in lessons? That is nothing but about.
Yeah, where you get that from?
And following
too many memes you watching.
You be following, that's all that is. That is one of their posts. Cracks me up. Okay, I'm going to roll something back out. Another unveiling of something I tried before. And some people loved it, and a lot of people laughed at it. But I try to tell y'all, there are 2 scoreboards. And athletes understand this. And Christian kind of alluded to it. There's the literal scoreboard, who won, who lost by the points. And there's another one, the psychological scoreboard. Like you said, when you're in the cold tub, you're sitting there looking at the stat sheet, and you're like, damn, if we do this and they don't do that, and we got something, and that's the psychological scoreboard post-game. During the game, it's called momentum. You could be down 10, and the other team is in trouble. And you're like, damn, we down 10, but it feels like we have all the energy. Uncle Mo is on our side. And I think that's what Houston is tapping into, that psychological scoreboard saying, hey, the literal scoreboard is going to change after we get to them boys next time. Why? Because the Lakers still struggle with their perimeter defense. Why? Because the bigs chasing the littles, sooner or later, there might be a little fatigue, and those closeouts look a little different in terms of velocity. Why? Because if you look at it, they're not pounding the boards, and they're not killing them in the paint with physicality as expected, as anticipated. That's allowing Houston to have more confidence. And coming up in our big story, talking about pounding, Cam Newton, big dog, says that as a black quarterback, the media hasn't given him his just due. We'll tell you if he has a point. Next, Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. You're watching Speak for Yourself. Marcel Swally, Emmanuel Acho.
My dog.
Big dog. It's time for our big story, presented by Hyundai. Let's return to Cam Newton, who is getting a fresh start as the starting quarterback in New England. But that spotlight comes with skepticism. Cam got a few things off his chest yesterday and was very direct on why he feels he's judged differently than others, saying, quote, honestly, you know it's a problem when somebody starts off with honestly. It is because I'm a black athlete, a quarterback, that for a long time I've been unapologetic. It's because I have carried myself in a way that the media hasn't gave me my just due. So, Acho, has the media treated Cam unfairly?
Yo, first, can we address how real what you just said?
Honestly?
When somebody starts with honestly, that's like somebody starting with no disrespect. If somebody says no disrespect, They about to say the most disrespectful thing you done ever heard in your life.
Here we go.
So no disrespect. Cam, I think, has a point. What I mean by that is Cam doesn't get treated like everybody else gets treated, and I don't have to look any further than a couple years back. The Panthers are playing the Tennessee Titans. Cam Newton, he's scoring. He goes into the end zone. He starts jigging. He starts dabbing. He starts dancing and whatnot. Remember, later on, Cam Newton gets a letter written to him by a Tennessee fan, and she says, because of where we sat, we had a close-up view of your conduct in the fourth quarter. The chest puffs, the pelvic thrusts, the arrogant struts, the in-your-face taunting. What? The pelvic thrust? There ain't no greater pelvic thrust than when Aaron Rodgers, with a discount double check. But you're never going to hear that same critique of an Aaron Rodgers because the discount double check is something, or Aaron Rodgers celebration is something a little more closely related to a person who wrote that letter. All that being said, Cam going to Boston, it does allow, going to the Patriots, it does allow the media to treat him and critique him unfairly because Cam has always been viewed differently than other quarterbacks. He doesn't fit the normal mold of a quarterback. He doesn't wear your Dickies khaki pants with your button down. He gonna come in there suited to a T with a scarf on his head, a little extra, a little more stylish, and that always rubs some people the wrong way. So now when you start losing, you better believe they're going to look for a reason to pinpoint and to nitpick, and that's what's happened with Cam Newton.
Yeah, they have always treated Cam unfairly. Going all the way back to the Florida days with him stealing the computer, whatever the hell happened at that situation. Not forgetting, everyone, this is not an adult. This is, just watching that unfold and him going to the junior college to return to Auburn. I think it got lost because he's so talented, because the spotlight was just being directly at him, that we sometimes lose the fact that that's a human being, that's an object. That's fine, because, hey, if you're going to be the man, it comes with some of these issues. It comes with the territory. But here's the thing, that once he got to the pros, and he had a tremendous rookie year, so you would think he answered the bell in terms of some of that criticism. But it just started to increase. And I knew it was unfair when Cam Newton would do all that dancing and first down and dabbing. But then he would walk to the railing right on the stadium wall and hand a ball to all types of kids, just baby's kids, bad kids, good kids, all these kids. And come on, I've been a fan before I was ever a player. Just to meet, I remember meeting Gaston Green. A lot of people probably don't even know who he is. And just going to a UCLA football camp, and I got to see Gaston Green. And Gaston Green signed my ball. And Gaston Green had a 2-second conversation with me. And I'm still talking about it, and I'm 45 years old. I'm lighting up right now. Cam Newton was doing that, and that got perceived as a selfish act, attention-seeking. When I saw that, I said, oh, we got to clean this lens or switch the lens, because they're not looking at Cam correctly.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I think it's funny because so many people forget the good in Cam Newton and they nitpick at the bad. Now, again, I also think on the flip side, Cam Newton forgets a lot of the good and he focuses in on the bad. But to your point, we talk about Cam Newton, the great Cam Newton, handing balls to fans in the stands. Like, we forget how much of an impact positively that has. I remember I was maybe 10, 11, 12. Mike Williams, Jaguars receiver, throws a glove into the stands. I'm like, oh, my God, oh, my God. The fact that I remember my story and you remember your story decades later and a decade and a half or 2 decades later, that just shows the positive impact of Cam Newton has had on so many people that he doesn't necessarily get the credit for. So is Cam treated unfairly? Yes. Now, has he earned some of that unfair treatment?
Oh.
Yes. When you, Cam, take the paintbrush and you start painting, at first it may be a beautiful painting until you start messing up on the field. Now people are just going to be like, you just drew the same dart, so to speak, that now people are shooting arrows at. And that's what Cam Newton has kind of done. He's drawn a target on his back. When he succeeds, it's all fine and dandy. But when he doesn't succeed, it's going to be a problem.
Yeah, great points, man. Look, Cam Newton, in terms of his ability, in terms of just looking at him, in terms of just your reception of Cam Newton, the phenomenon coming at you, when you break the norm, people won't treat you normally. That's just how the game goes. LeVar is back with us. LeVar, big dog, has the media treated Cam unfairly to you?
I got to be honest. Y'all was supposed to laugh. 'Cause that's what Cam said.
We going deeper than this?
Here we go. Here we go. No, they have not been unfair to him. They have not treated him unfairly. To win the game is to understand the way the game is being played and then to come up with the proper game plan to implement to have a chance to win, right? Before Cam Newton came, there were plenty of black athletes, plenty of black quarterbacks that came that could possibly have the argument that they've been treated unfairly. But one thing you got to understand about media, they're very fickle and they're very, very weird. They're weird people. They're big fans, right? And so when you mess up with the media, they never let it go, ever. So you touched on it. When he got that situation in college with the laptop, that started it all. And I can relate to this because I was labeled something in college by the coaches, and it was always there. It was always looming if something didn't go the right way, right? So I understand this. The problem here with Cam is you're talking about a guy who has been flagrantly amazing as a football player and as an athlete. And doing so, take a look, like you guys touched on it, right? His fashion, he's a fashionista, right? This guy, he looks good, he dresses nice, and his personality fits that, right? So he's unapologetic. His mindset is, I don't really care what you think about me. I'm going to come out and I'm going to be the type of guy that I want to be. Now, this is interesting because with all of those things being said about how he is a cultural icon, how he is a fashionista, marches to his own beat and his own drum, his identity is based off of him ripping open his shirt and revealing the what? The Superman, right? All right, most of these media people are comic book cornballs, right? So when you think about it, you have now associated yourself with the nerdiest reporter in media, the nerdiest dude in media, and the humble servant when he's not the corny dude with no game. So he's not a fashionista when he's not Superman, and he's a humble servant when he's Superman, right? This is Cam Newton. These people, if you don't think they're dissecting these things and looking at it, Superman is considered to be American. All right, that's the American way. And now Cam is coming with this American way, but with his own stank. So they're not going to look at him giving the ball to the kids in the front row. I know Cam has been doing 7-on-7 teams for many years. He puts his own time, money, resources into these 7-on-7 deals, and nobody ever really covers it. Nobody ever pays attention to it. But yet in 2016, we'll take the bait. We'll take what's being out there. He walked off in one of the biggest moments of his career. Just walks out of the interview. Bam, check. Here it is. Now we can control him. Okay, 2017. He laughs at a woman reporter because she asked him about route progressions. Okay, let's jump on that and talk about that. Everybody in media is looking for story material. When you've put yourself on the radar as being story material worthy by how well you play, by how you dress, driving clicks, all kinds of different things, they are going to take the road less traveled, many times traveled rather than the road less traveled. And they're going to get the headline they're looking for, and it's going to stick.
You make a couple good points, man, because at first I was solely kind of on my side, but you were spinning some facts there. I will say that I'm still going to say Cam is treated unfairly, but I'm going to say he deserves the treatment that he gets. Cam, if he was just going to fall in line and be a company man, a la so many guys we see, Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, etc., who are just not going to ruffle any feathers, then you get away with a little bit more because more than anything, you're just not drawing attention to yourself. You're just fitting in and disappearing. You're being present when you need to be, but outside of that, nobody's really talking about you. But Cam does everything to draw attention to Cam. It might not be intentional. I'm not going to sit here and say that Cam is some sort of narcissistic, attention-grabbing type of individual.
It's just who he is.
It's just who he is. Love it or hate it,
it's just who he is.
So Cam, since you've drawn attention to yourself, since you said, hey, everybody, look at me, look at my outfit, look at the scarf on my head.
They're going to see everything.
They going to see everything under a microscope, and that's what Cam has to realize. So does he get treated unfairly? Yes, but he asked for the exact treatment that he's getting.
Yeah, it's a wild one, man. LeVar made some tremendous points, and I get it. I just think what comes with greatness is unfairness, but in part, it's unfair to get the abundant riches you get. Like, being real. When we got paid, like, I remember my first paycheck. My first paycheck was more than my mother and father had made their entire lives cumulatively. Like, all of their earnings together, and I had that in one check plus change. And I was like, this is insane. And that abundance comes at a cost. And if you don't suppress your personality, like a Tom Brady, et cetera, like you said, a Russell Wilson, if you don't suppress your personality, oh, they're going to find a way to tax you because you're in this situation. Something my grandmother used to always say is, once you call for attention, you can't hang up. And Cam Newton calls for attention a lot. And then all of a sudden, we can't get in this moment and say, oh, no. Ain't no downtown, bro. We still on this line. Like, what you talking about? Here's the thing.
There are no downtones anymore, Marcellus.
No? They don't do that anymore?
Don't date us like that. Don't date us like that, please.
Here we go.
Okay.
Is it just gas that fuels fire? It's also the air. People don't understand that.
Oh, Marcellus
dropping Wiley is
tell him that again, Marcellus.
What I say? It's not just gas that fuels fire. It's the air. Need some of that oxygen, too. You got to give that smoke some attention. Here's the thing why I always say that. Because the biggest actor in the world, most people would say, is probably Tom Hanks. Good luck knowing anything about Tom Hanks outside of what movies he's in, right? He's not all on the blogs. I rarely, if ever, seen him on TMZ, et cetera. And the point of it is, it's a way you play the game, and they gonna play the game back. And if you want to play this attention game, well, it comes with a lot of attention, good and bad. Coming up, the Bucs season is on the line tonight. We'll tell you if an injured Giannis should feel pressure to play. Next, Speak for Yourself, presented by Hyundai. You stupid.
Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's talk about the Bucs, who are on the brink of elimination tonight against the Heat, but they might have to keep their season alive without Giannis Antetokounmpo. The Greek freak. He re-injured his right ankle in Game 4 and is questionable for tonight's must-win game. The reigning MVP was seen in a walking boot Monday and is getting treatment around the clock. We're joined by NBA analyst Chris Broussard, my guy CB. Marcellus, though, going to you first. Did Giannis feel added pressure to play in a must-win Game 5?
I heard the word added pressure. No, he shouldn't feel added pressure. It's a playoff game. It's a do-or-die game for the Milwaukee Bucks. You're talking about the playoffs. Everyone is fully motivated and incentivized to go out there. Added pressure? Unfair if you're going to put that type of pressure on Giannis because he's injured. He's not hurting. He's injured, and there's a difference. Two-time MVP, yeah, I'm going to say it even before they announce it. Two-time MVP who's been twice injured in this series is now under added pressure to go out there and play with his teammates like he doesn't want to already. The only thing that will stop Giannis is Giannis's body stopping Giannis from going across and playing in this game. So I don't feel the added pressure element. This team knows that they can win without Giannis, maybe in short spurts like they did last game. But in reality, Giannis adds so much to this team, and they know that he wants to be involved. I don't see how that's added pressure.
Man, I got to disagree, bro. I think he should feel the added pressure, but he should because, you know, when you're a starter at any level, at any sport, at any age group, and if you get out, if you get hurt, whatever the case may be, and you see your backup go in there and start balling, you know what you realize? Like, uh-oh. I got to get back out there. Yeah. I got to remind everybody who the alpha is, who the dog is. I have to make sure I always prove to be indispensable. Giannis left the game, and arguably, the Bucks got better in that game. The Bucks did not get better in totality, but the Bucks got better in that game. Yeah. And it might honestly be inarguable. And so Giannis does have the pressure. Now, don't go out there and get hurt like we tragically saw KD do last year trying to rush back. But you do got to remember, there's a lot on the line. You are part of the reason that your team is currently in this position. But I think the biggest thing, and this isn't about X and O's, this is just me keeping it real with y'all. If Giannis goes and accomplishes what Marcellus just spoke into existence and winning an MVP award, think about how anticlimactic this will be. Like, Giannis will win this MVP award while we're in the midst of debating whether he's a Batman or a Robin, a Jordan or a Pippen, while we're sitting here debating whether or not he has that clutch gene. So I think for the sake of Giannis, for the sake of his current reputation, because everybody abides by it's not what you've done for me, it's what have you done for me lately, I do think there's added pressure.
Acho, I usually love your takes, but stop it.
Yeah,
I mean, the fact that the Bucks won when Giannis went out, I get what you're saying. I was in Little League too, and the dude coming in to play for you, you know, you wanted, oh, let me get out there and show him I'm really the best tailback or whatever.
Yeah.
But now, there is not a person in the NBA that thinks, wow, man, the Bucks were balling without Giannis. Maybe they don't need him. Maybe Chris Middleton, he's Jordan. No.
Wait, CB. I gotta check you here. Check ball. Because you're going to watch those first 3 games with Giannis, seeing him shoot 41% from the free throw line in the clutch in the fourth quarter, seeing him not be able to create his own shot off the dribble, seeing him not be able to make a pull-up jumper, seeing him essentially be mitigated and his talent be, to a degree, decreased when it matters most. I'm not talking about filling up a box score, but you're going to kick back. Watch them first 3 games with Giannis, knowing good and well that Giannis on the court, they was about to get swept. Giannis leaves, Middleton starts balling, and for whatever reason, not that the Bucks were better, but not that the Bucks are better without Giannis, but against that Heat game plan of packing the paint, that without Giannis, the court was more spread out because now they had an additional shooter on the court, and you're just going to sit here and blindly, unequivocally say that the Bucks are just clear-cut better against the Heat in this series. I'm talking specifically without Giannis.
Yes, I am.
I did all that for you to say yes.
You guys played in the NFL. You know, I'm sure you were on teams sometimes where one of your top players was injured and you just step up and guys deliver. I saw it. I've covered the NBA 3 decades almost. I've seen it for a game, for a couple of games even, when the guys step up and they play well. But over the long haul, you can't do it without your star. That's not to mention that Miami let their foot off the gas when they saw Giannis out. That's human nature. They took it easy, and they got caught. Here's the other thing, because you also addressed the MVP role. Look, Russell Westbrook, Dirk Nowitzki, they both got beat in the first round when they won the MVP awards. Michael Jordan, his first MVP, he went out in the second round. LeBron James, his second MVP, he went out in the second round. There is no shame. I get it. It's unfortunate. It might look bad in the moment, but Giannis should feel no shame that he's going to win the MVP award and his team's going out in the second round because it's happened to some of the best players in history. And remember, for all those people, because I'm getting texts all over the place, oh, Giannis, look at your MVP, this and that. It's a regular season award, and Giannis was the best player in the regular season.
So you're saying Giannis is a regular season player? Because that's what I heard, Marcel.
I didn't hear that.
That's what I heard.
Did we say that about Michael Jordan in '88?
I'm just saying that's what I heard. That's just what I heard. You go ahead. You go ahead. I'm just telling you what my ears heard.
CB, like you said.
I'm saying because a lot of people are saying, why don't we wait till after the playoffs to do the MVP? Well, then it's going to be like whoever wins the finals, that MVP has to be on that team. That's not fair. You have regular season awards, and then we have the playoffs. So I'm just saying Giannis deserved it in the regular season, and that's that. Whatever happens in the playoffs doesn't affect his MVP award.
Yeah, Chris, don't get bothered. Don't let your temperature rise talking to this word salad king over here. He just gave you all that talk. Look, I don't know if Acho's been Mr. All-State as a linebacker in Texas, which is major. He went to UT. But I don't know if a linebacker's ever been the MVP of the team. I don't know if Acho's ever been the MVP.
No.
Yeah, exactly. See, I used to play running back. It's kind of easy when you're growing up being a running back. If you're good, you're going to win MVPs. And I remember there were times where you didn't show up at a big moment, big game here, or even injured. And then sometimes you fall back on that cred that you get, those stripes on your shoulders that you get when you're MVP. And you just look at guys as they're looking at you like, yo, we got you or not? You coming or not? You playing or not? You kind of look back like, hey, bruh, you know I want it. And without me, it's not going to be as good unless I'm in it. And that's what Giannis has to fall back on before he get tempted to go out there and pull a Kevin Durant potentially and do something even worse to himself. If he's injured, you got to step back. If you're just hurting, go back out there like you did last game. And I think the credit that he has and that he deserves needs to be understood by all the naysayers. Like, Giannis is a beast. If this doesn't work out for Giannis, like we said for Dirk, like we said for young Michael Jordan, like we say for even a James Harden who has won MVPs, Westbrook, like, why is Giannis all of a sudden going to be the one ostracized in this moment? Maybe it's just because he's the flavor of the month and he's the reigning MVP, but I don't think that this heavy criticism should land all on his shoulders.
I think there's a little bit of historical bias. We can speak to, when talking about Jordan, obviously we know that he won his chip. So when talking about Jordan, we know just how good Jordan was. Talking about Dirk, we know Dirk won his chip. So even though that happened when Dirk won his MVP, got knocked out, we still have the bias of knowing, oh, what Dirk's career ended up being. But with Giannis, we're sitting and looking at it like this. Okay, you had best record in the East last year, MVP. Best record in the East this year, MVP. And you ain't got nothing to show for it. You're the alpha. You are a freak on your team, physically, mentally, emotionally, all that jazz. You are supposed to be the greatest player on the court whenever you are on the court, at least the most valuable player on the court when you're on the court. But when you're on the court, your team right now has lost the 3 games. Think about it this way, CB, because you're sitting here trying to continually convince me that the Bucks are better against the Heat with Giannis. Sure. But let's just talk data. Let's remove our opinions from it. Giannis played fully them first 3 games, all of which the Bucks lost. The Bucks lost by an average of 9 points. So are you telling me, and mind you, they got blown out, and they lost by, again, I think by 11-1. So you're telling me that if Giannis doesn't play, the Bucks are going to lose by 10? Because on average, if Giannis plays, they're going to lose by 10 anyway. So I'm just going to need a better argument than just saying, well, sure, Giannis is there, so they're going to be better. Because with Giannis, they lose by 10.
No, I mean, look, how about putting a little bit of it on the coach?
Okay.
How about making a few adjustments?
That's fair.
You know what I'm saying? How about playing Giannis 40 minutes? I don't know what Mike Budenholzer's on where you can only play 36 minutes and then you're done. Like, that's crazy. So I think some of that as well. And I know you all googly-eyed over Chris Middleton all of a sudden, but he's not a second star on a championship team. LeBron found that out when his first go-round in Cleveland. You need help, and Giannis needs a better second player, with all due respect to Chris Middleton. No disrespect.
No disrespect.
Just to be honest.
Hey, Chris Middleton, you dropped 36 last game. You hit a 3 in the clutch, and you hit your free throws.
Oh, that makes
Chris
him MVP?
Middleton, don't let them clown you. Don't let them clown you. Coming up, you got questions, we got answers. The first edition of Acho's Answers is coming up next. That's Speak for Yourself. Welcome back to Speak for Yourself. Let's move to the NFC West, where the 49ers are set to defend their division title. But don't sleep on them Seahawks. Seattle finished second in the division last year, and longtime NFL writer Peter King thinks they'll leapfrog San Fran because he trusts Russell Wilson over Jimmy G. LA is back with us, but Marcellus, I'm going to you. Are the Seahawks the clear-cut favorites in the NFC West?
No, not at all. Peter King is feeling this one? Oh, did he watch those Seattle games? I know he did. And he saw that in 11 of those 12 wins, they were one-possession games. And then he's going to say, well, Russell Wilson over Jimmy G, which I understand is a convenient argument. But let's stay in real time because last time I checked, Jimmy G has the highest win percentage in NFL history. What? 21-5, go Jimmy G. Last time I checked, his last game, he was as a first-year starter in the Super Bowl with a lead in the 4th quarter. And here's something that's interesting. Didn't know about Jimmy G versus Russell Wilson. Garoppolo averaged 8.4 passing yards per attempt, Acho's favorite stat, and 69.1 completion percentage. Both were top 5. And Russell Wilson was outside the top 5 in both of those categories. You sure you're trusting Russell Wilson in this offense with the talent surrounding him more so than Jimmy G? Because I'm not.
I'm trusting Russell Wilson, Marcellus, for exactly what you just said. I'm actually going to use your words against you, which I happen to do so very well. The Seahawks won 11 out of their 12 games, what you said, by 8 points or less. 24% of NFL games are decided by 3 points or less. So what that tells me is when the going gets tough, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks get going. But more importantly, let's really dive into things. The Seahawks lost so many running backs, they had to go find beast mode wherever he was chilling in Oakland at the time and bring him back onto the squad. And they still found a way to get to the playoffs and win a game there. So I look at Russell Wilson and say, your whole team got better. You bring in superstar Pro Bowl safety Jamal Adams. Offensively, you now have a safety valve in Greg Olsen. DK Metcalf going into his sophomore season is only going to get better. Tyler Lockett, who's perpetually banged up, you have to assume will have a reasonable level of health this year. So when I think about the Seahawks, I'm like, okay, everything they did, they should improve on. Flip to San Fran, love their head coach, Kyle Shanahan. But I'm wondering, did they catch lightning in a bottle? That is my fear for San Fran. They're one of the only team that had 3 500-yard rushers and 2 700-yard receivers. What made them so great was their balance. Well, now you lost a running back to the Dolphins. At receiver, you lose Emmanuel Sanders. I'm just not convinced that they didn't catch lightning in a bottle. Where Seattle Seahawks, I know how good Russell Wilson has been in that team because they are every year.
Yeah, I look at Peter King's statements, and I find myself on the opposite side of it. No, I don't think they're the clear-cut favorite, nor do I look at the 49ers as a team that's slowing up. As a matter of fact, they are possibly the most balanced team in the National Football League this year. They were able to re-sign key guys on the defense, which in a lot of ways is more important than what we're talking about in terms of the offensive side. So when I think about the West, honestly, if the Seahawks are able to actually win the NFC West, you got to think that they're the favorite to be in the championship game in terms of the Super Bowl. But I question if Russ can carry it on his own. I don't think their running attack is potent enough right now. And we're going to have to wait and see if that defense can carry the load and if Jamal Adams truly does add that extra spark that makes them more of an elite defense than what they already were coming into last year.
Man, I'm just smelling all this reputational bias, like living in the past. Since the Seahawks went to back-to-back Super Bowls, let's just see how successful they've been in the playoffs. Wild card round.
Big screen king.
Carson Wentz, full screen king. Carson Wentz injured, and y'all win that game. Okay, that's cute. Let's go back to 2016. Oh, Matthew Stafford, did you do anything? No touchdowns, no interceptions. Just put the uniform on, coach. They win that game, 26-6. And then let's go to the 10-9 game where Blair Walsh missed a 27-yarder. My son could kick from 25 right now, so we're close.
Oh, wow.
Here's the thing. Y'all better stop trying to recreate this Legion of Boom 2. Jamal Adams is here. Here comes Legion of Boom 2. Because I'm telling you, just like Coming to America 2, it's going to be a letdown, y'all. It ain't going to happen the way y'all over here trying to predict it. There's so much greatness in Russell Wilson that we're trying to pour over to the Seattle Seahawks team as a whole. Be careful of that, guys, because San Francisco is fully loaded, top to bottom. Oh, you want to go?
I got a little something. Can I get a little something?
Go, yeah,
Can I put a button on it?
Itty bitty.
Okay, here's what it comes down to. Here's what it comes down to. Is Jimmy G the outlier or is Jimmy G the data? Is Jimmy G truly great or has Jimmy G just shown us greatness? Jimmy G, 275 passing yards since 2017. Every time he does that, Marcellus, the Niners are 10-0. They win every single time. But the rest of the NFL in that time only wins 52% of the time. So I'm just wondering, Marcellus, is Jimmy G the outlier or is Jimmy G the data? Now, if I may, coming up, we're letting Uncle Jimmy have the final word on today's show. We might regret this later. That's next. I'll see you with this.
I'm glad you did that, because I ain't had All right, we got to get to Uncle Jimmy, but first, let's talk about today's show, because Uncle Jimmy's supposed to give us a letter grade. It's your turn to give us a letter grade while we wait on Uncle Jimmy to get a Skype game together.
Today we finally had Acho answers, Marcellus. So regardless of what the show was, that graded, that curved the show. You know, and although I think you underperformed per usual,
I really did.
I tried to pick up the slack personally.
Well, not per usual, but I didn't know what the hell Acho's answers were. I'm like, every other segment is Acho's answers, so how the hell is this one different? So please tell me what I should do differently since you want to go there.
Well, the first thing is,
this is called filling, y'all.
First thing is change your tie bar. Okay, that's the first thing you need to do. Make sure it's straight next time, not crooked. Yeah. You had a little too much shine on your forehead this time. I won't blame you, though. You had a lot of things to multitask. And let me read the reads, okay? Except this one. You can toss to Fox Bet.
You still
can toss to Fox. You can toss.